right, and we're going to go ahead and get started. So again, good morning and welcome to EPEW 2021. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Shelby and I will be moderating today's session along with the help of Julie and Scott. We are all on the EPEW committee and we are very excited to have you all here with us as we assemble together to learn and leave as family. Today, we have incredible superheroes with us, Angela Pletcher and Colleen Jackson. Their session today is Revealing Superheroes Through Padlet. A few things before we get started. We are going to attempt to keep our cameras and microphones muted during the presentation in order to avoid interruptions. We are using Zoom for this session, and sometimes it doesn't work the way we want it to. So we just ask that you please be patient with us. Should we have any major issues, we will send out an email with an updated information on our Zoom presentation. During this session, if you have any questions, please feel free to use our chat feature. And it should say chat with a bubble there if you're on a laptop, and if you're on your phone or on an iPad, you can click more and find chat there. Our presenters are okay with being interrupted for questions. So if you do have any questions, we'll answer those as quickly as possible. If you are planning to make any posts today, so if you take any pictures and you're on Instagram or Twitter, you can use the hashtag EPEW 2021 as well as EPEW family. So again, thank you for typing in the chat where you are from, and we are going to go ahead and get started. So I'm going to go ahead and hand it over. And
good morning. I am Angela Pletcher. I'm from Hayward, California, where I teach at Wynn Middle School. It's a 7th and 8th grade school. It's 40 minutes east of San Francisco. It's a Title I school. I think this is maybe my 8th year at EPEW since 2004. I've been working with Colleen Jackson and with the help of Facebook, right? And all the lessons shared, we've created a strong program. With Padlet, we had a new versatile application to deliver our lessons. We wanted really to open up the standards with our students and show them that PE isn't just about running the mile. It was our chance to look at the whole child and a platform to help them show their passion you may not see at school. It allowed us to see their superhero embedded in each student. And I'd like to present Colleen now.
Hello, my name is Colleen Jackson. I teach at Cesar Chavez Middle School. My school is also a Title I school. And at my school, we have a program called World House, which is a unique program where all students who are newcomers into our district are sent to our school. What's interesting about that is, so we have over 15 first languages at my school, which is amazing, but also presents some challenges as well. So we got this Padlet project from a teacher in Japan, from her team, who was willing to share it with us. And then we tweaked it to fit our students. So to fit the ESL students, our GATE students, and our special ed population. What we liked about the project is that it encompasses the whole child, addressing not only the aerobic and resistance activities, but also really made them look at their social and mental wellness as well. This was really important to us as we were starting the year after our students basically being on lockdown since March. We also added a component piece, and that was the reflection that allowed our students to look back at their week and analyze what went well and what areas where they struggled and they may need to adapt their schedules. What we found with this project is that we had a much greater insight into the lives of our students than we've ever had in the past. They were willing to share their activities, their families, their homes, and their ups and downs with us. We witnessed families making supper together, students playing instruments, siblings reading stories, families taking hikes together, family movie nights, students singing songs, writing poetry, drawings, paintings, playing sports, arts and crafts, doing their chores, and most importantly, being kids. It was amazing as teachers to be part of their journey with them. And so now we'll go ahead and share the slide deck that we presented to our students. All right, so this is the beginning of our slide deck that we shared. And it's just the, the opening scene. Our learning aims were that the students would plan and carry out a weekly schedule of activities, focusing on maintaining their physical activity and then also supporting their mental and social well-being. They logged their completed activities using the shelf Padlet, and later on, Ms. Pletcher will show you the example of her Padlet. And then the component that was really important to us was the reflection piece, not only because we wanted them to reflect and analyze how their week went, but it also allowed us to, one, they could use either written, voice, or video, but it allowed us to also incorporate writing into our curriculum. The expectation was that they would have 3 aerobic activities each week and collect evidence, 2 resistance activities, 1 mental, and 1 social. What we realized early on is that we really needed to explain what mental and social activities were, as our students had no idea what these were. And then the reflection that they had to do at the end. So ways that they could post evidence. They could do a written response on Padlet, why they choose the activity, what it helped them to accomplish. They could post a photo of them doing the activity. They could do a quick time-lapse video. They could post a picture from their device or a readout. We also gave them examples of resources to use. This was our resource Padlet for them, and it varies from motivation to physical wellness, social wellness, mental wellness, bones, muscles, nutrition, and wellness education. And when we were putting this together and we added throughout the year, we really made sure that we made it accessible to all the students. So whether they were English speaking, Spanish speaking, spoke Urdu, or whether they were our special ed population, or whether they were our GATE students. So we have some in the bones and muscle area. We have some that are kinesiology level, exercise physiology level, that go as far as origin, system, and action. So we really wanted to make it accessible for everything. Now I can't get back to my other screen. And then the other website is just our Parks and Rec website. Ms. Pletcher will show you this in a little example. These were physical examples and evidence of Create a Step, video resource bank, the difference between aerobic and resistance activity examples. We had our SWORKit accounts that were linked to our schools, and then the Down Dog app. What was nice about the video resource bank, it was the first time, and the aerobic resistance, it was the first time our middle school teachers across our district came together on a common goal for physical education and contributed to something. So each school did something. 2 teachers worked on our resource bank. Another teacher from another school created the examples of the aerobic and resistance. And then here were some examples we gave them for social wellness. With evidence, family time, a virtual board game together with either themselves or their family, virtual cooking classes, Netflix, watching a concert online, reading to younger cousins, or designing a family challenge, a trick shot or something along that line. Mental wellness and examples. These were links, live links for them. Gratitude, and it goes to a website. Write down 3 things you're grateful for. Kindness activities, writing a note, sending a card or email, helping your family with a task, giving a gift, etc. Mindfulness, doing a puzzle, reading a book. We really realized early on that our students, while they had an idea of what physical activity was, they really had no idea what it meant to take care of themselves mentally was. Whether that was, taking a shower, taking a nap, going for a walk, petting their dog, singing a song, playing a musical instrument. So that took a lot of time that they do mental activities, but naming those within their plan was important. And then making sure they had time within their week to always do a mindfulness activity. And then the way we graded them, we did a rubric. So they did a 1, 2, 3, or 4. And then it was laid out pretty specifically why they got what they got so that they could reflect back. And then their reflections, a voice, video, or written. And what's nice about Padlet is it offers that variety. And so some students who wanted to do the written, these were the questions they would answer. How were you feeling? How was your week been? What was positive? What was your biggest challenge? How has your weekly schedule helped you? How active have you been? How are you going to adapt your schedule? And what changes might you need to make sure you're successful? What was nice about offering the written, video, or voice is some of my SBC students obviously wouldn't do this in written, but they would do it in voice. And then even some of my GATE students wouldn't do it in written. They would do voice as well. I'd have one student who would do a voice that was like 10, 15 minutes long. And I would grade the rest of my students' Padlet while listening to his like weekly reflections. Next steps, this was just for our students on how they're going to set up their Padlet because we had a link to our school. So we had them set it up in a safe way for us on a shelf template, so it was easy for us. And then they set it up to secret. So only we had access to it, so other students weren't seeing it and it wasn't public. So each week they would plan out their, basically their plan of what they were going to do. And then during the week, they would gather their evidence. And then at the end of the week, they would plan out their next week for us. Then their ideas, be creative, update it regularly, use a variety of methods. We didn't want to see it all written. We wanted to see pictures. We wanted to see videos. We wanted to hear their voices, especially because we couldn't see them because we were taught our entire year online. And then you'll see that it says insert a color code. And that's because, we have 220, 240 students and we were getting these weekly. So you'll see when Ms. Pletcher does her example of why we wanted it color coded. And then I'm going to have Ms. Pletcher go ahead and show you her example Padlet.
Okay, hopefully I answered some questions in the chat when Colleen and I signed up for Padlet. You can get a free Padlet account that gives you 3 Padlets that you can make. But with our account, as she said, you can see all of our students at one time, and I'll show you that in a minute. And that's what we liked, is we could have our kids with us instead of having them make their own account and having maybe a little bit more protection over what they're being exposed to. So let me, okay, here we go. Okay, so what does this look like? Aren't we excited? I was excited when I saw this. So this is my Padlet, and I'm going to go into it as if I was, and you can see this, right? Dashboard. Okay, so this is my school account. Everybody can see this, I think. Okay, good. So when I go to manage my people.
You're not on your Padlet right now.
I know I'm on the Padlet backpack account. Can you see that? No, you can't see that. Okay, let's just fix this. Okay. Sorry. Oh, here we go. I clicked on my notes. Okay. Okay, this is better. Okay, so when I go to Padlet, I click on Manage My People, and here's all of my students. So I don't have permission to open up their Padlets, but I'll show you mine. So all my students are listed in here. So if I go to my Padlet, where's Angela? Here she is. I can view it. So we're going to open this one up. Okay, so this is my Padlet, and week 4, you can see all the green boxes. And I'm gonna make this bigger. I'll just leave it like that. Okay, so here's week 4. So every week they're required in the beginning of the week, like Sunday or Monday before school begins, is to create a weekly plan. And your plan, we had to get in their heads that it's just a plan. Plans change. It doesn't have to be exactly what happened. This is like, hey, this week I'd like to go do this. And that was just kind of like, hey, these are my thoughts I want to do this week and try to make. So my goal was to hike Mission Peak. And here's my 3 A's representing my 3 aerobic activities I was hoping to do. My 2 R's for my resistant activities, and then my M for mental, and then my S is my social thing with my sister. So if you see, I got, okay, there's Mission Peak, and here's my Fitbit evidence of me doing that, and here's another hike I took. So with Padlet, you can post pictures, which is great, and it's pretty simple to use. So if I opened a box, here's your camera, or if you needed more, you can upload, you can take a camera shot right here at your desk. You could do a recording, you could do a drawing. You could, do video recording, a screen recording. So maybe you don't want your picture taken, you just want to record your voice. You can record your voice, or if there's something on their screen they wanted to share with me, they could record their screen and talk about it. So here's my 3 aerobic things. If you notice, hey, what happened to my green stuff? I don't have any resistant activity just for this week. And so hopefully I talk about it during my reflection. Here's my mental activity, my book I was reading. Here's me helping my sister move. And then my reflection, it talks about packing up my sister, about Mission Peak, about walking the dogs. And then it says, I did not complete my resistant activities, although walking the dog for 13 miles seemed like a lot of resistance. And then over here, I have a teacher input box. So with my students, I would comment and color code my box green once I got done with, responding back to them. I color code this box green and talk about their week and give them feedback. And Colleen's going to share a cute story about the teacher input box after. But that's what we liked, is it was user friendly. It was a one-stop shop. After the first part of the pandemic, we had when we had to learn from last March on what to do when the new school year came, we thought, okay, we got to do something, we got to add something more. And when I saw this Padlet activity, it's like, oh my gosh, this is perfect. This, like, it's so hard to do, like having the kids create their own fitness plan because you have papers and you're outside and there's wind. But with Padlet, it's all right there. It's digital. It's something you could bring an iPad out to your classroom if you have those, or kids could work on it at home. I mean, it's something very versatile. They could even bring an iPad out to class and videotape something that they're doing in class and stick it on their Padlet if they had to. Now, the resources that we gave the kids, I have them open already, is we had a video resource bank. So the kids, we had this all in our Google Classroom. So if the kids needed another exercise activity, we had a collection of videos that they could choose to do that were kid-friendly, that were previewed before. We also had, hey, what is the difference between aerobic and resistant activities? So we had pictures here showing them different things that they could do. And so they had all the resources that they need right in their Google Classroom. Another thing that we gave them that they could choose to do if they wanted to is we created a copy of a step challenge. This will be in the folder for participants, so you guys can edit this form however you'd like. So what it is, if the kids wanted to keep track of their steps and use this as part of their activities for their Padlet, or just as a family fun activity, they'd keep track of their steps each day. I know us as PE teachers, you're getting 15 to 20,000 steps a day easily on campus, right? And so when they hit their marker, this is 26.2 miles for the Inca Trail. Once they got to that, so let's say this day I did 10,000 steps, and the Inca Trail is going to light up and say, hey, wow, you made it to Inca Trail. There's a video on here that explores the Inca Trail and gives them like an idea, because this is back in September to where
for an hour and a half.
We're doing nothing, right? And so it walks along,
and we've been going up
the Inca Trail so that the students can see Oh, wow. Kind of gives them a way to travel without traveling and gets them to explore different parts of the world without actually having to go there, since we couldn't go nowhere. And so every time they log, it gets farther and farther. So that's a resource that we gave them to use. And let's see here. Another thing that we gave them is we also had a Sworkit account through, if you're not familiar with Sworkit, it was free for educators last year, and usually every year they have some type of free program. But when you log in, it gives you tons of workouts that your students can do on their own, or you can use them in class too. And what's nice about this is if you picked cardio and she did a light warm up, you can look through these exercises, and if you like them, okay, go for it. If you don't, you can customize it up here. Once you select the workout, you can say how long you want to do it for, which is nice. And I use this myself on my own time just to keep moving. Also, we gave them a login to Down Dog app, works the same way as Sworkit. Let's see here. What we really liked about our Padlet, our Padlet activity is that it really gave us a chance to get to know the students, like Colleen was saying. And not only could you submit pictures, but if the kids didn't want to type for the weekly reflection or any of the activities, they could, I'm sorry, I'm scrolling. If you see there's dates here, we changed how we did it. You could do a recording and you could give your reflection as a recording, which was nice to hear their voice. It's like, oh, that's what they sound like, because a lot of the kids were shy. And some of the kids were still shy to where when they uploaded their videos, they didn't want, I have a time-lapse video in here that I upload. And another thing good with Padlet is it works great with your phone. So here's a time-lapse video. I don't think there's any sound, but I don't need sound. So here's my video of me doing my workout. I have a stocking in front of me at Christmas time, doing my workout. And that way I can see that, oh yeah, they did do the video. They just didn't say they did the video. But some of my kids put a Bitmoji or emoji head on top of their face. So it was really cute to see the emojis that they would pick out and stuff. And we got to know the kids a lot by their weekly reflections. We got to hear their trials and tribulations. We got to hear their excitement. I had one student under his mental activity. He would play the guitar. And so he started giving me guitar lessons, and I wasn't very good at it. He was very fast, but it was fun to have that interaction. And then the next week he would critique me on my guitar playing and stuff. And I found out that one student had a jewelry business, that he actually had a professional website and was selling jewelry. He was in 8th grade. I had another student, I bought a lot of stuff this year, it seems like, because kids would share heartwarming things like crocheting or things that they did, their art, their drawing, their sketching. And I'd automatically go on Amazon and send them a sketchbook or something, or some crochet, like needles and stuff. And I would also discover new hikes in the Bay Area that I never knew about. And so I would go do the hike, and then I would post the picture of me taking their hike. And so it's just trying to constantly build a communication, build a connection with our students. And they say, hey, Miss Pletcher, did you do the Mission Peak hike? I was up there, I didn't see you. Like, oh yeah, I gotta go do that hike. Then I do the hike, and then I give them a bad time. I didn't see you. And I take pictures and send them pictures. But it was really nice. There's lots of kids that would share struggles and give you a chance to like reach out or get them some help. And then, yeah, so it was a really, really a great tool to communicate with your kids, and really getting to feel like it's kind of normal because you're kind of getting to know their life. One of the first videos that one of my students shared, it was the beginning, like September, and behind her was this pile of toilet paper when everybody was hoarding toilet paper. And so that was cute. And you'd even get their families like working out in the videos. So it was fun to be able to see everybody together, because I would say, hey, you get your family, you get extra points in there. And Colleen has a cute story about the teacher input box. I'm going to quit sharing here for a few minutes and let her share that story.
So the reflection piece was nice, as she was talking about. It allowed, the students to reflect and analyze, how their week went, but it also gave us a chance to respond. And like I said earlier, my student population, we had the World House, and I had one class that was all Spanish speaking, and then I had another class that had the 12 different languages in it. And I don't speak Spanish, and I don't speak the 12 other languages that were in the class. So that was always an interesting way to teach. But my all Spanish speaking class, I had one student from Guatemala, and in the teacher comment area, the first time I presented it, she misunderstood what the teacher comment section was. And so she put in a voice recording, basically reflecting on how well I taught the week of class. And she spoke it in Spanish and basically said, Ms. Jackson was very patient teaching today for not knowing Spanish and trying to speak the best Spanish she could. And she offered us a variety of activities, and I really enjoyed her class. And I had to have my EL specialist translate it, and it was just the cutest thing ever. And then the next week, she left another comment, and it was, Ms. Jackson was tired this week, and you could tell she was a little frustrated with our class because we didn't listen, and her lack of Spanish speaking is hard for her to teach this class. But it was just very, brutally honest, as kids are. But it also was so heartwarming that, it made me also reflect as, if we do this again next year, we should add another column, because as teachers, we very rarely give students a chance to reflect on how the class went and what we could improve on as a teacher and how they felt during the class. And I was like, we need to add that section, because that's important for us to have that kind of feedback. And she was very honest. So, for next year, I think we'll add that. And then just when we're thinking about as a professional, Angela and I were talking about, next year we're going back into in-person teaching. And we do teach middle school, and they don't have health. And so often, we look at, our fitness scores, and how do they compare in the rest of the middle school, and really looking at changing that outlook of what we're teaching our students and making sure that that's not what we're looking at, because that's not what's going to be important, and that's not what we should be focusing on, and kind of taking that, more of the whole child approach, and whether we need to do more mindfulness or talk more about nutrition, or talk more about, teaching these students because we have them just 7th and 8th grade, to learn a healthy lifestyle, but a healthy lifestyle that they can carry on through high school and then into young adult and later adult. That it's not just, can you run that mile in under 15 minutes, but can you make good, healthy choices? Do you know that it's important to sleep and why you need a good night's sleep? Do you know it's important that you need to take time for yourself? Because as adults, we don't do that. So if we start teaching children, at a young age, especially in middle school, that it's okay to say no, I need to take some mental time for myself. So kind of just turning away, not that, you don't need to have cardiovascular activity, because we all know that's important, but really focusing on the whole child next year, and not just looking at fitness scores, because the fitness scores don't look at, the mental health, the well-being, the nutrition of the child. It just looks at, cardiovascular, muscular endurance, stuff like that. And especially our kids have been out of school, for a year and a half. And in our population, they're in 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom apartments with 10 to 15 other family members, and multi-generational family members. So they've been hard hit. So it's going to be really important to kind of rebuild that connection with our students and rebuild community, and just reevaluate how we look at, physical education as a whole. Angela?
Yeah, I had a comment to make, but I was struck on what you were saying. very involved in your thoughts. Does anybody have any questions? I've seen some questions about the accounts and stuff. Is there any other questions out there that we could field for you guys? Teaching a small group of students who are medically unable to return face-to-face. Yeah, this is something that you can do, and your columns, like Padlet is so versatile. You can, take a look at Padlet, all the options. You can even use Padlet as a discussion board by throwing it in your chat, and then they can answer questions about whatever you want to ask them. But Padlet for a small group would be great. We took like probably, I would say 6 weeks to roll it out. We slowly introduced Padlet. We talked about components of fitness. We just slowly rolled things out to them. So just take your time with it, is my advice for that.
What's also nice about the Padlet and the medically fragile is everything we rolled out in Padlet, they could do within their home, because a lot of our students, especially in the beginning, their parents weren't letting them leave their apartments. So all the resources we gave the students, they could do within their apartments. And then also taking into account that, they lived on 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th levels. So they'd be like, Miss Jackson, I can't do that because the neighbors will say like there's elephants above us. So like we'd give them different resources to, okay, we'll do this instead, so you're not sounding like an elephant for your neighbors at 8 in the morning. So we made a lot of different options for them.
One thing, yeah, would you still do this face-to-face? Yeah, I could see myself doing this face-to-face. Like, the kids have to miss a week of school to travel. They could totally do their activities on their Padlet. One thing too, the kids would say, hey, I had to go to the store with my mom. I had to watch my siblings today. I barely had time to do class today. I did not have time this week to do my activities. I said, okay, well, what did you do? You went to Costco, right? Yeah, we had all kinds of work to do. We unloaded the cart. I said, okay, that's like a resistant activity. If you're like having to move your apartment and carry boxes and lifting stuff, if you're chasing little kids around the house because you're doing daycare, that's all aerobic, social. I mean, those are all those things. So we help them try to identify, like, you don't have to work out. You don't have to, do sit-ups. You can do everyday activity that you do. And it was kind of nice to get them to recognize and not have the guilt of like, oh, I didn't go run, or I didn't go do this. Like, oh, wow, I did a lot of physical activity today. I carried my 10-pound sister around all day long, and that's a lot of work. Or I had to go shopping with mom and ran groceries up and down the stairs. That's a lot of activity. That's a lot of exercise. So we got them to recognize, like, oh, I did do stuff. Like, one student said, I didn't have time to do my work because I was bull riding. Wait a minute, you were bull riding? Put that down. You got a lot of things going on there. You got your social thing. If you're you're riding a bull by yourself, again, it's mental thing. You got resistant activity by holding on, and all those things. So we had them identify things that they were doing to just put it on. One girl's like, I love to clean house. Can I put that down for mental? Yes, please put that down. Whatever your mental thing is to do, you can put that down.
And then using it, I'd like to use it again next year, just because it gives students a place to record things. Like, it's kind of like a journal almost. And I think having some sort of accountability is important for students. Otherwise they lose track, like, just as like adults, like we use calendars and stuff. So I think it's really important for students to have that, but it also goes back to our standards of making that fitness plan and then following it. And before, we didn't do that, as at least at my school, we didn't do it. It was really hard, with 240, 250 students to say like, okay, we're going to make a fitness plan, and then we're going to collect that fitness plan and honestly say, I'm going to look at 250 fitness plans and then I'm going to grade them. But I think this gives a way, if we're teaching, the students very early on, and we are now a one-to-one district, like that was a very positive thing that came out of COVID, because students needed technology. So now they have technology. Every student will have a Chromebook, and they will all have a hotspot. So now they'll have access to a Chromebook, and whether we're in the NPR for the day and everyone can log on to their Padlet together, okay, let's all log a fitness activity, or we're going to do a mindful activity and we're all going to put it on our Padlet today. So I think I'll continue to use the Padlet because we have that resource now.
The question is, how long did it take to roll out? So Colleen and I have been working neck and neck since March last year. I don't know when it was, the beginning. And we just said to one another, we got to stick together. So I think it was like the end of last June. She's like, hey, I found this project. And so we just worked on it together and got familiar with it. Everything that we showed you, you guys are going to have a copy of. So you can call us, you can email us. We will help you out in any way that we can. A few things that we learned is that Safari, I think it's Safari, doesn't work well with Padlet. So there's certain things. Some problems we had, the kids would use their phone, which was great. I totally encourage that. But they had to make sure, since we had a school account, we had to make sure that their school email was the active email and not their personal one. Otherwise, Padlet would kick them out or not allow them to get in. So there's little things like that that we've discovered. And then what was nice, though, it's like they could totally take pictures or time lapse like videos from their phone and stick it right on their Padlet through Padlet on their phone. And that's what was convenient. It was a one-stop shop. You could videotape, you could do everything right there and upload things simply from your phone or your iPad.
Do we have any other questions for our presenters today? If so, you can type them in the chat box.
I think our contact information should be available through EPEW, right?
Yes.
And if you haven't gone to EPEW, you better be there next year. It's so much fun. It's like Club Med for teachers.
All right. So again, we want to thank both Angela and Colleen for their presentation today. Very awesome job. As you can see in the chat, there is a link for our certificate of attendance. You'll just have to make a copy and then fill it out with your name and the name of our presentation today. All of our information for the next couple days for EPEW is found on our website, and the website is the link for that is in the chat as well. So we do have more sessions today. We do have some more amazing superheroes like Angela and Colleen today. So our next presentation begins at 9 o'clock, and you'll find all of that information in your email. That should have been sent out about 7 a.m. Pacific time. So if you didn't get it in your email, check your spam, but you're all here. So hopefully you found that. And then also make sure to check out our share times today, as well as socials. Tonight's social is bring your own ice cream. That's something that EPEW, us as family members, we love to come together to eat some ice cream or a cold dessert of your choice. So again, thank you so much to Angela and Colleen. This was an amazing session on Padlet and creating connections with our students. So thank you to the both of you. We appreciate you being here.
Thank you for attending the 48th Annual Elementary Physical Education Workshop. We're glad you were here.
Please follow us on our social media platforms. EPEW can be found on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube.
Please check out our website for links to more great sessions. Just go to epew-cp.weebly.com and click on the virtual EPEW 2021 tab at the top and scroll down.
EPEW 2021 Educators Assemble would not be possible without the support and dedication from the amazing EPEW committee. The committee has been hard at work for months preparing for this workshop. Thank you to Linda McGee, Barbara Gratton, Scott Wilson, Stephanie Sandino, Julie Miller, Jessica Monlux, Kayla Ailman, Shelby Lozano, Andrea Chavez, Scott Townsend, and Cindy Chase.
Thank you for attending EPEW, where our motto is, come to learn, leave as family.